Hello, I'm Brad. I am 30 years old and reside in Wagga, a quaint town in Canada. It's a quaint little spot where familiarity reigns and the pace of life is slow, yet it holds a special place in my heart. I am involved in overseeing construction projects. It's not flashy, but it provides consistent employment. For approximately 8 years, I've been diligently honing my craft, navigating the complexities of the field, and ensuring that every task is completed punctually and within financial constraints. For an extended period, that was my sole focus, my work. I constantly sought to ascend, to demonstrate my capabilities, to reveal that I could manage everything that came my way. Reflecting on the past, I see that I became overly immersed in it. I lacked a balance. I prioritized work above all else, leaving no room for anything else. I believed that by continuously working hard, dedicating my time, and saving diligently, I would eventually reach a point where I could truly enjoy life. The plan appeared to be well thought out. The harder I toiled, the greater my earnings became, and the more I was able to set aside. At that moment, it all seemed logical. However, the reality is that I didn't take any time off. There are no holidays, no time off for personal matters. I convinced myself it was not needed. Those around me would share stories of their summer getaways and holidays, and I would simply dismiss it all. I'll address that later, I might say, or I can't spare the time for a break. It wasn't that I lacked the desire, in fact, I was completely unaware of how to pause. I was completely unaware of the experience of stepping back from it all, of not having deadlines, construction plans, or projects occupying my mind for a few days. For years, I simply pushed forward, without pause. Indeed, I noticed the accumulation of funds. Initially, it was wonderful, but over time, I began to sense the burden of it. I was unaware of the extent to which it was affecting me, both physically and mentally, until one day I awoke feeling utterly drained. I mean, completely exhausted. I felt exhausted in a manner that transcended mere sleep deprivation. It stemmed from the relentless strain of always being in the spotlight. I began to realize that my efforts were increasingly resembling mere labor. The atmosphere was devoid of thrill and fervor. I found myself lacking the enjoyment I once experienced. I realized that I had devoted so much energy to my profession that I had allowed everything else to fade into the background. I found myself without a partner, lacking a significant other, and devoid of a vibrant social life. I became so consumed by my work that I distanced myself from many of the experiences that truly enrich life. Without family to share moments with and friends to reconnect with after a long week. I was so intent on advancing that I failed to notice I was lagging in the aspects that truly counted. And then it dawned on me. A moment of clarity washed over me, akin to a light bulb illuminating my thoughts. I had dedicated years to my work, believing that relentless effort would eventually grant me the means to acquire all my desires. What use is all that wealth if there's nothing to indulge in? For years, I delayed taking vacations, convincing myself that they were merely a frivolous use of time. However, I eventually came to the understanding that time was not on my side, and my happiness was not improving either. I have come to a conclusion. It took some effort, but I managed to secure 2 weeks of time off for myself. I realized I was in dire need of it. It was the moment to step away from work for a bit and truly unwind. Say goodbye to the daily ritual of checking emails. Say goodbye to the stress of deadlines and the chaos of office politics. Only 2 weeks to concentrate on myself. Initially, I experienced a strange sensation, as if taking time off was somehow not permitted. It seemed as though I was straying from the path, yet deep down, I understood it was the correct choice. I had deserved it, even if I had lost the ability to genuinely unwind. I had accumulated vacation time, yet the thought of actually using it seemed odd. Nevertheless, I went ahead and booked the trip. I made the choice to visit a ski resort. What is the reason? Skiing had always been a passion of mine, yet it had been years since I last hit the slopes. The most recent occasion I found myself gliding down the slopes was during my university days. In the past, I would spend time with friends, but after graduation, life became hectic, and I found myself neglecting the activities that brought me joy. The winter season set the perfect stage for what was to come. The idea of being amidst the mountains, inhaling the crisp, invigorating air, and relishing the thrill of skiing felt precisely like the escape I craved. No tasks at hand. Stay calm. Only the mountains, the snow, and an opportunity to find clarity. I thought that spending 2 weeks in the snow might completely transform my perspective on life. Upon my arrival at the resort, I found myself uncertain about what lay ahead. Yet, the moment I laid eyes on the snow-draped summits, inhaled the invigorating, pure air, and absorbed the serene surroundings, I sensed the tightness within me begin to dissolve. It was precisely what I was looking for. In the initial days, I embraced the slopes, soaking in the breathtaking scenery and experiencing a sense of liberation that had eluded me for years. It felt as though I had stepped into an entirely different realm. For the first time in ages, I truly experienced a sense of relaxation. But I had no idea that this vacation would evolve into something far beyond a simple getaway from my job. An unexpected occurrence. And that, indeed, is the moment when the narrative truly unfolds. The initial days of my getaway were truly remarkable. I had arrived at a 5-star hotel that resembled a scene from a luxury magazine, and it felt as though I had entered an entirely different realm. I found myself in a stunning room that offered a breathtaking view of the snow-draped mountains. The entire venue exuded a sense of refinement and grace. Every detail was exquisite, cozy, inviting, and friendly. The staff treated me with the utmost respect and care. Initially, it was an odd experience, but I soon acclimated to the spotlight. They exuded warmth and professionalism, consistently foreseeing my needs and ensuring I felt like the sole focus of their attention. Each time I ventured outdoors, the crisp mountain air enveloped me, invigorating my spirit. The snow lay untouched, reminiscent of a perfect postcard scene, while the mountains loomed majestically over the resort, rendering everything else diminutive and inconsequential. My days were filled with skiing, relishing the liberation that accompanied the smooth descent down the slopes. It was precisely what I required, a respite from the relentless hustle of work, an opportunity to rejuvenate my mind and body. Being enveloped by snow-draped mountains holds a certain enchantment, where the tranquility of the wilderness is pierced solely by the whisper of my skis gliding over the powdery surface. It was as if I was slipping away into a different realm, a place devoid of deadlines and meetings, just me and the mountains. However, on the 3rd day of my journey, an unexpected event unfolded. After a morning spent gliding down the slopes, I made my way to the ski rental counter to return my equipment when a familiar face caught my eye amidst the bustling crowd. Initially, I believed it was merely my imagination running wild, but upon closer inspection, I came to the startling realization that it was indeed her, Lily. Lily was the spouse of my superior, and I was familiar with her from the workplace. I had encountered her a few times at corporate gatherings, but apart from some courteous conversations, we never truly engaged with one another. Her attire was consistently flawless, exuding a unique grace, and there was an air of aloofness surrounding her. She tended to remain in her own world. Our connection was minimal at best, and I never encountered her beyond the office walls. Therefore, spotting her here at a ski resort truly took me by surprise. She must have seen me as well, because when our gazes locked, she smiled and approached me directly. There was an intriguing shift in her demeanor here, a sense of ease that contrasted with the usual corporate facade, revealing a more open and unguarded side. "Brad, what a delightful surprise to find you here," she remarked, her voice imbued with warmth while still maintaining a hint of the formal elegance that always characterized her demeanor. I returned the smile, making an effort to maintain my composure. "I was just as surprised to see you. What draws you to this location?" She shrugged, a subtle, nearly nostalgic smile gracing her lips. Indeed, I also found myself in need of a pause. "Mr. Robinson, he has moved on from skiing these days. He chooses to concentrate on the business, so he no longer accompanies me on trips like this. I suppose it's fair to say I sought a brief escape from it all." I nodded, taken aback. I was completely unaware that her husband was so consumed by his work that it would lead him to steer clear of activities like this. To an outsider, their existence appeared flawless, prosperous, affluent, and worthy of admiration. However, listening to her talk about him in that way made me understand how little I truly knew about their connection. "Oh, that's quite unexpected. I never imagined he would be the kind to bail on something like this," I remarked, attempting to keep it light. She smiled, yet the warmth of her expression seemed to falter, leaving her eyes untouched by the gesture. "Indeed, individuals evolve over time. He's not a bad person, after all. He is entirely absorbed in his work. It allows for scant opportunity for anything beyond that." I found myself at a loss for words in response to that. I had never thought about her perspective, being married to someone who appeared to prioritize his career over their personal relationship. It stirred a peculiar sense of empathy within me for her, despite our limited acquaintance. "Are you by yourself here?" she inquired, abruptly shifting the focus of the discussion onto me. I paused. "Indeed, I find myself alone." Took a moment to relax and recharge. She arched an eyebrow. "Is there no company? Are you alone?" I shook my head in disbelief. "Only I am here." She paused to reflect, then grinned once more, this time with a hint of mischief. "How about we hit the slopes together? I have arrived. Welcome to this moment. I'm certain it will be much more enjoyable with others around." For a moment, I was caught off guard, uncertain if I had truly understood her correctly. Hitting the slopes alongside my boss's spouse? It struck me as an unusual proposition, yet I found myself without any particular agenda for the day. She was presenting an opportunity to hit the slopes alongside someone experienced, which was hard to resist. Moreover, she appeared sincere in her intentions, and the thought of sharing moments with another person felt appealing. "Absolutely, that sounds good." At last, I spoke up. Her expression brightened, and a gentle laugh escaped her lips. "Excellent. Let's take to the slopes then. I assure you, I won't push you into anything too wild." In an instant, we found ourselves making plans to hit the slopes together. Uncertainty loomed over me as I embarked on this journey, yet an unsettling intuition whispered that this was far from a mere casual excursion. Her gaze held a certain allure, and the warmth of her smile suggested that this ski outing might evolve into something deeper than mere leisure. Yet, I cast the notion aside. I arrived with the intention to unwind, to savor my getaway, and perhaps, just perhaps, this would turn out to be the respite I never realized I was longing for. Once we took to the slopes, I was genuinely taken aback by the sheer enjoyment I was experiencing. Lily possessed remarkable skiing skills. She moved through the snow with an air of ease, embodying both elegance and self-assurance. It felt as though she had glided down the slopes for an eternity. In the meantime, I found myself feeling just fine. I was able to keep pace, though I wouldn't necessarily describe myself as an expert. Yet, I felt no shame. The entire scenario exuded a sense of calm, a refreshing departure from the typical pressures of the job. She immediately saw that I was having a tough time with some of the more challenging runs, and grinned. "Allow me to demonstrate a little trick," she said, leading me through several techniques. I found it remarkable how patient she was, dedicating her time to explain and demonstrate each move with care. It revealed an entirely new facet of her, a person who radiated kindness, offered encouragement, and exuded a sense of calmness. I was genuinely surprised by her humility and generosity, particularly considering her status back home. She might have chosen to be aloof, but instead, she guided me through the slopes with warmth and a smile. The remainder of the afternoon was filled with skiing, laughter, and delightful conversations between runs. It was an entirely fresh experience for me. I never envisioned Lily as a person who could be so friendly and enjoyable. She was a person I had encountered solely in a professional setting, an authoritative presence, remote, and rather formal. In this fresh setting, it felt as though we were simply two ordinary individuals savoring a day spent in each other's company. I found it astonishing how effortlessly our conversation flowed, how genuine it seemed, even with the knowledge that she was married to my superior. As we reached the end of our day, Lily proposed that we cozy up with something warm. "I know a fantastic place close by for some hot mulled wine," she said, her smile brightening the moment. "I'm not sure how you feel, but I'm absolutely chilled to the bone after that last run." I consented without hesitation. The air had turned quite brisk, and a steaming beverage seemed just right. We ventured to a quaint bar close to the resort, inviting and snug with a flickering fire in the corner. The ambience was cozy and inviting, a pleasant juxtaposition to the chilly, glaring outside world. We ordered our mulled wine and settled by the fire, the warmth enveloping me as I savored the first sip. The dialogue unfolded effortlessly, quite unexpectedly. She shared more about her life, revealing how she had always enjoyed the freedom to pursue her desires, traveling, indulging in fashion, and embracing the lavish. Her words dripped with a casual indifference, yet I sensed a deeper story lurking beneath the surface. She conveyed to me, in a subtle manner, that her life was not as flawless as it appeared at first glance. I paid attention, and for the first time, I truly sensed that I was witnessing a different aspect of her. "I suppose when you have the means to obtain anything, nothing truly feels unique anymore," she murmured softly. "Everything feels effortless. It feels as if all motivation has vanished." I found a connection, in a sense. My existence had unfolded in a contrasting manner. For years, I toiled relentlessly, seldom pausing, convinced that perseverance would lead to my success. However, it wasn't as if I had many accomplishments to display. Only my craft, devoid of family or close companions. Even then, I found myself trapped in the same monotonous cycle, never permitting myself to savor the rewards of my hard work. "I understand," I responded, savoring a sip of my beverage. "It seems my life has taken a path that's entirely different. For countless years, I dedicated myself to labor, striving to accumulate savings and ensure I could cover all my expenses, yet I never truly paused to savor the experience. Up to this point, that is. This getaway marks the first occasion I permitted myself to unwind." Lily considered the moment, her gaze becoming gentle. "What a pity, Brad. It would have been beneficial to grant yourself additional time to simply experience life. You truly deserve it. You put in a lot of effort, didn't you?" I offered a faint smile, though it carried a touch of melancholy. "Indeed, that seems to be the case. Yet, discovering time for such pursuits can be quite challenging, wouldn't you agree?" She reclined in her chair, observing me intently, her expression contemplative. "It's always a challenge, isn't it? However, the opportunity for transformation is always within reach." Her kindness and understanding truly took me by surprise. We were merely two individuals engaged in a straightforward dialogue, yet it seemed as though we were forging a connection that took me by surprise. For the next hour, we engaged in a conversation that meandered through a tapestry of topics, touching on our lives, the future, and our aspirations. I was taken aback by her willingness to share, and it seemed I was following suit. It was a peculiar yet soothing sensation. As we reached the end of our drinks, an unexpected sense of intimacy enveloped me, a feeling I hadn't seen coming. As we prepared to depart, she posed a question that took me by surprise. "Hey Brad, could you share your room number with me? I'll be here for a few more days, and if you're available, we could take to the slopes again tomorrow. Perhaps I can reveal a couple more techniques to you." After a brief moment of uncertainty, I finally revealed my room number to her. She grinned, her eyes sparkling with playful mischief. "That sounds wonderful. If it's not too much trouble, could you share your phone number with me? In the event that we wish to arrange an alternative plan. Skiing again would be quite delightful, wouldn't it?" Uncertainty lingered, yet I moved forward without a second thought. I handed her my number, a peculiar thrill coursing through me. "Absolutely, I'll be here for a few more days." She expressed her gratitude, her smile radiating warmth and sincerity. "Great, I'll message you tomorrow." As we exchanged our farewells and went our separate ways, an undeniable sense of change lingered in the air. A chance meeting on the slopes was evolving into something far more intriguing, and I found myself uncertain about how to interpret it just yet. However, it was evident that none of this was on my radar, and an intuition told me that matters were poised to become significantly more intricate. The following morning, I was stirred from sleep by the persistent ringing of my phone. The time on the nightstand clock indicated it was just past 6 a.m. Who might be reaching out to me at this hour? I glanced at the screen, an unfamiliar number. With a touch of uncertainty, I responded with a hello. Brad, are you still dreaming? A voice reached me that I instantly knew. Lily was the one. I rubbed my eyes, lingering in the haze of sleep. I was lost in slumber. Hello there. Rise and shine, she urged, her voice light yet resolute. Don't let your first real vacation in years be wasted, cooped up in your room. You arrived here to have a good time, didn't you? It's crucial that you don't squander any more time. I found myself too astonished to engage in any debate. I suppose that's the case. I muttered, still attempting to dispel the remnants of slumber. She chuckled softly, then said, I'm waiting for you outside. Please don't make me wait. Suddenly, I found myself out of bed, propelled into the day without a clear direction. I hurriedly put on my clothes, slipped into a jacket, and ventured out into the brisk morning air. The mountain resort lay in serene stillness, the snow blanketing the ground glimmering in the soft glow of the early morning light. There she stood, Lily, by the front entrance, a smile gracing her face. Her enthusiasm was infectious. She appeared so composed, yet effortlessly stylish. Good morning, she welcomed me with that effortless smile of hers. Prepared to seize the opportunities of your day? Uncertainty lingered in my mind, yet I gave a nod. I suppose that's the case. She proposed we enjoy breakfast at a local cafe. At this juncture, I decided to embrace the journey, uncertain of the destination, yet eager to discover what lay ahead. We settled into a cozy little table by the window, enjoying steaming cups of coffee while engaging in conversation. Our conversation delved into depths I hadn't anticipated. She revealed fragments of her existence beyond her job, expressing the constant burden of upholding a specific persona, and how she frequently experienced loneliness even in the midst of a crowd. I had never envisioned this aspect of her before. We conversed about a myriad of topics, both significant and trivial, just two souls navigating the complexities of existence. And for some reason, it seemed remarkably effortless. It felt as if we had been acquainted for a lifetime. Following breakfast, she proposed an idea that was a bit more daring. What do you think about visiting the spa? She remarked with a playful smirk. I've heard it's truly remarkable here. Unsure of how to reply, I found her enthusiasm so infectious that I simply nodded in agreement. What other options did I have? I trailed behind her as we explored the resort spa, the calming scent of essential oils enveloping us. The setting was extraordinary, opulent, peaceful, and calming. We indulged in a delightful morning, transitioning seamlessly from the jacuzzi to the sauna, then from the spa to the pool. Every experience unfolded like a fresh chapter, and to my delight, I found myself savoring each moment. It was liberating, as if I could abandon all my burdens, even if only for a brief moment. Lily was an unstoppable energy, and in her presence, everything seemed to flow with ease. Each time we transitioned from one place to another, she radiated a sense of freedom, fully immersed in the present. Her energy was unlike anything I had encountered in the workplace. A fresh perspective on her began to emerge. As I spent more moments in her company, it became increasingly clear to me the depth of her openness and kindness. When we returned to the slopes later in the afternoon, I felt more invigorated than I had in a long time. We hit the slopes together once more, with her generously sharing tips and tricks, ensuring I felt right at home. It had evolved beyond merely skiing. It encompassed all that had accompanied it. The dialogues, the joy, the moments we've experienced together. Yet, as I continued to be in her presence, my feelings grew increasingly tangled. A sense of attraction began to emerge, one I hadn't foreseen. She was remarkable, witty, intelligent, and brimming with vitality. However, she was also the spouse of my superior. This was completely off. I ought to resist being pulled into this situation. I had to keep telling myself that this was merely a getaway. This was not reality. Yet, each time my gaze fell upon Lily, an undeniable sensation washed over me. We concluded our day at the resort's lounge, weary yet content. The flames danced in the corner while we leisurely enjoyed our drinks. Our dialogue flowed as if we possessed endless moments to share. She leaned in a bit as she spoke, her gaze meeting mine. It struck me how effortlessly we connected in that moment. There was an absence of pretense, no walls between them, just two individuals allowing themselves to be vulnerable. "Brad," she murmured gently. "I'm truly pleased we took the time for this today. It has been pleasant. I've experienced a great deal of enjoyment." I nodded, striving to maintain my composure. "Absolutely, I feel the same way." This all took me by surprise. I anticipated my vacation would be a solitary affair, merely an opportunity to catch up on some much-needed rest. However, this was unlike anything else. She smiled and reclined in her chair, her expression taking on a more contemplative quality. "Life is far too brief to shy away from opportunities," she murmured softly. "At times, one finds themselves engaging in actions they never imagined they would undertake. What unfolds may catch you off guard." I started to understand just how unexpectedly remarkable this entire journey had turned out to be. Lily had nudged me beyond my familiar boundaries in ways I never anticipated. She exceeded all my expectations. And I began to perceive her in a manner I had not previously considered. However, that did not simplify matters in any way. The subsequent days unfolded in a similar cadence. Exciting starts to the day, leisurely midday moments, and enjoyable nights. Lily's vibrant spirit was infectious, and I discovered that I was increasingly relishing her presence. Yet, a persistent notion hovered in the recesses of my thoughts. This was not genuine. This was not part of the plan. One evening, just a few days into our stay at the resort, I found myself in my room, unwinding after yet another busy day. The evening had descended, and the air from the mountains flowed in, sharp and refreshing through the open window. Surprised by the unexpected sound of a knock at the door, I figured it must be the hotel staff, perhaps delivering something I had left behind or conducting a routine courtesy check. I swung the door wide, revealing Lily on the threshold, a bottle of wine clasped in her hand. She beamed with a gentle warmth, her eyes glimmering in the soft glow of the hallway. "Hello," she said, her tone airy. "I trust I'm not causing any disruption." I was surprised, yet I swiftly moved to the side. "Not in the slightest." "Step inside," I urged, making an effort to conceal the astonishment in my tone. As she entered the room, her aura enveloped the surroundings. The crisp, invigorating mountain air remained, now intertwined with the subtle fragrance of her perfume and the hint of possibilities yet to unfold. "I thought we could enjoy a little nightcap," she suggested, raising the wine bottle with a playful glint in her eye. "I have something extraordinary to share." I nodded, uncertain of what lay ahead, yet choosing not to dwell on it too much. "It was merely a beverage." "It was nothing beyond that, correct?" We sank into the couch. The gentle illumination of the room creates elongated silhouettes. She opened the bottle, filling 2 glasses with wine, and we toasted together. The evening progressed effortlessly from that point onward. We shared laughter over absurd jokes, reflecting on moments that seemed trivial yet held significance in that fleeting time. Our conversation meandered through a labyrinth of thoughts, touching on the profound and the trivial alike. Her narratives about her life were candid and authentic, and I discovered that I was sharing more about my own challenges than I had anticipated. Lily had an undeniable charm that drew people in. Her candidness. Her poor decision-making. I came to the understanding that it had been years since I engaged in a conversation like this, and it was refreshing to simply embrace my humanity, free from any expectations or pressures. As the evening progressed, the wine poured freely, and the dialogue grew more profound. An unspoken connection lingered between us, something I never saw coming. Despite my constant reminders to uphold boundaries, the pull grew increasingly difficult to resist. As the last drop of wine disappeared from the bottle, we found ourselves at ease, reclining on the couch. The atmosphere was serene, punctuated only by the gentle murmur of the heater and the delicate crackling of the flames dancing in the corner. Eventually, we found ourselves enveloped in a serene silence, fully at ease with the effortless bond that had blossomed between us. The following morning, I stirred awake, a dull ache in my head from the wine, and the heavy burden of the previous day's events loomed over me. I extended my limbs and massaged my eyelids, then gazed through the window at the majestic mountains. The allure of the surroundings, the crisp air, the soft snow, the profound silence, seemed far away now, nearly insignificant against the backdrop of all that had unfolded. Yet, in that very moment, another sensation washed over me. A feeling of joy, of satisfaction that I hadn't felt in years. After what felt like an eternity, a sense of tranquility washed over me, as if I were truly experiencing life rather than merely fulfilling obligations and duties. Amidst the joy, a chilling truth began to emerge. I understood that this was not an issue that could simply be overlooked. This was more than just a light-hearted getaway romance. Lily had entered into matrimony. She was the spouse of my superior. Despite the fleeting bond we had experienced, I was acutely aware of the repercussions that would follow if our secret were to be revealed. Perched on the edge of the bed, I found myself sifting through my thoughts, acutely aware of the gravity of the situation. This situation was incredibly intricate. What might unfold upon my return to the office? Will everything return to the way it was? Or might this moment stretch between us for all eternity? After years of numbness, a spark of life ignited within me, yet it demanded a cost. The burden of that cost was a reality I understood I would have to confront sooner or later. The final days of my vacation arrived more swiftly than I had expected. Days melted into one another as I immersed myself in skiing, indulging in the spa, and sharing moments with Lily. The crisp mountain air, the exhilarating rush of the slopes, and the serene evenings we spent together. It all seemed like a departure from the unforgiving truths of my daily existence. Yet, inevitably, every delightful experience must reach its conclusion. As the last evening unfolded, Lily made contact with me. She inquired whether we could gather, just once more before we returned to our everyday routines. I consented, fully aware that this moment was approaching, yet still unprepared for its conclusion. We gathered once again in that familiar spot, by the warm glow of the fire in the hotel lounge, a place that held countless memories for us. The atmosphere was serene, with just a handful of other patrons present, each absorbed in their own thoughts. We settled into the corner, each cradling a drink, the heaviness of the impending farewell lingering around us. "Brad," Lily began, her voice carrying a weightier tone than normal. "I would like to pose a question to you." I gazed at her, taken aback by the sudden change in her attitude. "Hello there." She hesitated, collecting her thoughts, and then met my gaze with those eyes, gentle and earnest, yet hinting at a deeper complexity. "I know we've had a wonderful time here," she said, her voice just a soft murmur. "But I need you to assure me that all we experienced, all we exchanged here, remains confidential. This must remain a secret from everyone. This must remain our private matter." I acted without a moment's pause. I nodded, driven by a sense of reverence for the connection we had forged rather than anything else. "Absolutely," I replied. "This is something just between us." Lily appeared to breathe a sigh of relief, yet a hint of something deeper flickered in her gaze. Perhaps a sense of yearning. Perhaps a sense of remorse. She inhaled deeply, then pivoted to confront me completely. "However, Brad," she went on, "I won't deceive you. I wish for this to continue indefinitely. If you begin to take more trips, perhaps you could share your next destination with me. This can be improved further. However, at this moment, we must maintain confidentiality about this matter. We aim to keep things as straightforward as possible." I paused for a moment, taking in her words. I was completely uncertain about the direction this was taking, or whether it could persist once we departed from the mountains. Yet a part of me yearned to trust her words. She possessed an undeniable allure. A sensation I hadn't experienced in ages. Yet, I grasped the significance of her request. "Are you certain about that?" I inquired. Attempt to comprehend all aspects. This truly caught me off guard. I never imagined it would turn out this way. She offered a gentle smile, tinged with a hint of melancholy. "Life is brimming with unexpected twists," she remarked. "Occasionally, the most wonderful occurrences unfold when you are least prepared for them. We must approach this with intelligence. We must ensure it doesn't spiral out of control." I grasped the truth, perhaps more than I was willing to acknowledge. We found ourselves entangled in intricate circumstances. She was wed to my superior. I found myself as an ordinary individual who had unexpectedly ventured into a realm far removed from my everyday existence. It was unjust, yet I was powerless against my emotions. "All right," I replied, offering her a gentle smile. "Absolutely, I can handle that. I will hold on to a secret." What unfolds when we return to reality? Lily's demeanor became gentler. "We'll find a way," she said. "For the moment, simply relish the recollection of this location. Don't overthink the rest. When the moment arrives, we shall discover the path it takes." Uncertainty lingered as I pondered my next words. A blend of exhilaration and doubt washed over me. The holiday has come to an end, taking with it the light-hearted times we experienced together. The moment had arrived to dive back into the routine. To confront the truths of my existence and my professional journey. Yet, there lingered an undeniable sense that our paths would cross again. As we rose to bid our final farewells, Lily cast a lingering glance in my direction. "Be kind to yourself, Brad," she murmured gently. "And should you ever seek another getaway, you know where to reach me." I nodded, my heart weighed down yet brimming with an additional, unnameable emotion. Perhaps a glimmer of hope. The future remained an enigma, shrouded in uncertainty. Yet at this moment, I was aware that I possessed a secret destined to remain with me for eternity. We went our separate paths. We are both returning to our individual paths. Uncertain about what lay ahead. Yet, there was a sense that, somehow, our journeys would intertwine once more.